Let's see. Good to see you this morning, Mark.
Good morning.
Yes,
It is morning for sure.
it is morning for sure. Are you an early bird?
Unfortunately, yeah, because I'd be at work at 7, so I got to get up, feed dogs, feed fish. So I get up before 6, about 4 to 6 or so. And so, yeah, on weekends, I usually try to feed the dogs, get back to bed, and then feed the fish whenever I finally get up. But that's my normal routine.
Ain't nothing for you to get up early. Well, you're like me. I just get up regardless of what time it is. So we've got Tim in here. There's three people watching so far, but I figure we'll wait a little bit till some more people come in, and then we'll show this amazing thing you built here. I know Depths goes live at 9 a.m. every Sunday, so there's going to be some people over there.
Okay, not a big deal.
And
so I could probably show you everything I've got going on in here right now. This morning, I got the fry grow out. Plus, I've got the actual breeding containers. If you hear that sound, that's my pump just kicked on for the my sump pump. So it'll kick off here about 15 seconds. Is how longer it runs. But that drains the water that overflows from this and pumps it out.
Yeah, and I'm assuming you're going to take us for a little walk around, give us a good visual of this thing. I've been calling it the I think, and I got it from you, over-engineered system. I think you said that in the group chat.
That is true because, a lot of what I got going on in here, you actually don't have to do to keep these guys, and probably could breed them just fine without it too. But I wanted to maximize it, and I wanted to be sure that everything was going to work out good. I mean, here in Texas, man, where I'm at, it can be 110 degrees, and it could do that for a week straight. Highs, the lows won't go below 85 sometimes. For a week or so, and then it could be a month and a half of over 100-degree weather, and then the temperatures barely get to 80. They don't even go below 80 at nighttime. So the heat was my main concern. I know these guys can take some heat, but that seemed to be extreme, and they like sunlight. So how do you do sunlight and keep them cool enough when it's that hot out? So you got to kind of balance the two. So the way I set this up is hopefully it keeps it a little bit cooler, and in the wintertime it should keep it a little bit warmer too. Even though they shouldn't have a problem as long as it's a free solid. I mean, we've had that, man, we had this cold weather. It was like down around 0 degrees for like multiple days in a row. We never got even close to freezing. So something like that would be a problem. I don't know if these might freeze solid. The fryer racks would for sure, but when it gets that cold, I plan on just shutting the whole thing down for fry growing. There'll be no fry growing at that point.
Right. I always felt like, when you're talking about being too hot, I mean, I feel like the deeper the pond, the better, because they can get down there where it's cooler and get away from that sun. Of course, you can add things like some floating plants, maybe some lily plants or something to help block some of that. But I still feel if it's too shallow, no matter what you do, that water is going to get too hot.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's what I'm worried about with the fry grow outs, because those are just the little tubs are only, I don't know how maybe a foot tall or deep or so. And they're kind of sitting above ground, so they're not getting the cooling of the ground too. So the air is going to go all the way around them for the heat and the cold. So that's going to be a concern. That's why I kind of stuck the sump under the ground. So if I get some of that water coming through, hopefully it'll be a little bit cooler and a little bit warmer when I need it. The temperatures I need, so I can kind of stabilize that somewhat. But we'll see. I mean, it's been pretty hot. It's been up around 100 1 or 2 days, and had full sun on it. And the fry did fine. They seem to be growing like crazy. So maybe my concerns aren't that big a deal.
Right. And it's definitely a concern you have, be worrying about the temperature. I mean, you got to, especially like you say, when you're talking about fry, they can be sensitive, and you want to get things right. But I wanted to say hi. So into you came in. I wish I knew your real name. So into you. It's good to appreciate you coming in. And Convict Aquatics is from Ireland. He says it's 2 p.m. there.
It's 8 a.m. here. The sun just came up about an hour ago.
Yeah,
the sun's not even hitting his the building. I mean, it's a little in that closure yet. So I'm still in the shade.
Well, there was some piece and I told you about it, but there was Samantha. I'm going to use Samantha if you're okay with that. There were some people talking about your video you put out on this system. And I think it was Jeff Pelham's live, and I told you about it, and they were praising that video, thought it was really cool. And, and you were talking about some of the things you were doing. I was like, man, Mark is putting some work into this. And as I'm looking at it behind you, it's really well built and done. It's not just this thrown together thing. You did a really good job. It's nice. Do you plan on staining any of that wood, or would that be a no-no with the fish?
I don't think it'd be a no-no. Staining it would get into there. I think it would be fine, but I don't not gonna plan on staining it. I did seal some of these, and then decided, well, they're really. I'm not gonna stain them all because it was taking too much time, and I need to get things going. I was like, we'll see what happens. I'll rebuild them. It's not that big a deal. So,
Okay.
it was one of those. I was in a rush. I had the fish coming. I want to get these things up, especially like you see the wood tops on these.
Mm-hmm.
That's critical, I think, to keep the dragonflies and stuff out of here. So I had to get that done and on there before I put water in them to be sure I didn't get any dragonfly larvae in there. And I didn't even build these. This is the crazy part. I was thinking about building something like this. I mean, exactly like this in my mind. And I was thinking, man, this is going to be a pain to build all those. It's going to take forever. And then one day my wife calls me and goes, hey, could you use these? And she shows me these things. And I'm going like, what? Are you kidding? I think there's kind of strainer or something. Or for sifting rocks. I know you get some substrates and stuff and you go through, you wash the rock. Would this work? I said, no. There's a much better use for these, man. You have no idea how cool. This looks like it'll fit perfectly. So there were like 12 of them, and I think they were like under $5 a piece.
Oh, nice.
Oh, there's no way I can build that for that cheap. So I got them all. It's like 12 of them, I think we got 10 or 12, something like that. Got them all. So, man, I come home, laid them on there. Somebody else must be in the area with had the same thing going on because these fit exactly on top of these. I mean, it's like perfect fit. I'm going, there's no way. How did you know that? My wife has this amazing ability to walk into a place like that and she'll message me, hey, could you use this? I'm going, yeah, I was going to go buy one of those tomorrow type of deal. I haven't even told you that I needed that. How did you do that?
Now, when you say you put a top on those to keep dragon larvae out, what do you mean? I don't. You just talking about the rim around them, or?
I'll get one. There's one laying over here. Hang on.
Make sure you guys share this, like out and live it, like it. We want to get this out and share what Mark has built here. Made some amazing setup here.
So this is all it is. This is the top. It is a 1/4 inch hardwire cloth in here, and then on the outside, just wood frame. Right. So all they did is just sandwich the the 1/4 inch hardwire cloth in here, and this is exactly what I was planning on doing. So these fit right on top.
Oh, neat.
Pop right off. So they're not even attached in any way.
Hey, Scotty, good to see you, buddy. Appreciate you saying hello. That's cool. Fits right on there.
And I did find something a little disturbing. My little fire grow rock system over here has the same type stream on top. And I've already found one little damselfly or dragonfly larvae in there. And I found the whole damselfly caught underneath of it between the water and that. I'm going, well, crap, So luckily these are bare bottomed. I can come out at nighttime with a flashlight and look through them and just kill off the dragonfly larvae or whatever. So if you really want them out of there, I think you're gonna have to go with something like screen from a screen door type material, even real finer. I didn't want to do that because it's gonna block a lot of the light. And these guys do well with sunlight hitting the top and hitting them. So that's why I was like, man, I didn't want to do all that, but I may experiment and throw some of that on a couple of these and see if that causes any too low light levels in there or what. But I don't know, I was just kind of like bummed out. I was like, dang it, man, I want to throw all this work in with stupid damselflies in there.
Yeah,
but I haven't
really.
anything over here yet. But,
hey, Jody P, good to see you. Appreciate you coming in. Yeah, and that's one of them problems you have. It's like you have a problem, you know how to fix it, but it could possibly create another problem. And so you just kind of pick the lesser of two evils. It's going to cause you to do more work, always inspecting and making sure things that are in there that shouldn't be in there aren't in there.
Yeah, but that's kind of a cool thing about it too. You get to look at your fish a little closer and you get to look at the whole system, see what's going on, learn things. So overall, it's not a bad thing.
I think I heard something somewhere that dragonflies are starting to become extinct.
I don't know about that, man. I'm seeing them fly around right now in my yard. There were so many in the yard yesterday. That was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I think there's a migration or something going on right now. But
I might have the insect wrong, but something like that. So how long did it take you to put this thing together?
Too long. It looked simple in my mind, and it wasn't that bad. This side is fairly straightforward. It took me longer to get the dirt level and to get the grading right because you want this to drain that way. So I've got to get, if you're looking from the side, it's stepped up as it goes through. So it took a while to get all that leveled, and I did it all by eye, just going, okay, I get really good at looking at levels. things are level. So I leveled the sucker out, and then the PVC pipe goes fast. So it would have taken me a lot longer if I had to make all these tops for these things, man. It would have taken me forever. But put the IBC tote in the back, and we'll show all this in a minute. But you know, the IBC tote outside of this container that it plumbs into here, getting that container in the spot I wanted it, and then filling it full of water and starting to realize that it's got these things have like a metal pallet on the bottom of them that are about 3 or 4 inches tall.
Yep.
And only thing that's touching the ground is a little thin rim. It's like a little 1 inch piece of cheap aluminum that goes around the bottom, and that's what actually touches the ground.
Right.
So my ground back here, it gets super saturated when it gets wet, and so it will sink in. It's soggy almost. So I was like, man, that's not going to work, because when it gets wet, it's just going to sink into the ground like that. And then even if it doesn't, then I got air underneath of there, and that's kind of the whole point of this. I wanted this thing on the ground to help insulate it and whatever. So I had to cool that off, lay it back down, level everything out there again, and then start plumbing everything in. So it takes a little trial and error, looking at things, going, okay, this is not quite what I want. But when I got it done, it looks exactly the way I wanted it. So this took me probably, I don't know, it was off and on. That's the thing. I worked on it for, 10 minutes maybe one day, and maybe 2 hours the next. But it probably took me 5 or 6 hours, probably at least, to do all that. It takes longer to go get all the parts you need. You got to build a parts list. You got to go find all the parts. Then, of course, you forget a part or make a mistake and need to get another part. And so it's just running back and forth.
I know a guy that had this. I'm sorry. I know a guy that had one of them IBC totes where I live. I was going to look at a tank he was selling at the time. He had one of them IBC totes. He had Paku, and he was in the middle of building a massive pond for them. And the day I went there, he had these two. Imagine looking through the front of this guy's living room window and seeing a 180-gallon tank on the far back wall, and these two massive Pakus in it. And he said they already like destroyed one tank, and so he would keep them in an IBC tote. And all this is just until he gets the dang pond built, which he pretty much had it dug out. But, that's where he was going to put them ultimately. But it was something to see those big fish in a 180-gallon. But, yeah, those IBC totes, I thought about getting one of those myself. So I see them all the time. I know how they're built and what you're talking. They're great for, I think a lot of people will use them to collect rainwater and things like that. And, but hey, Mad Mex, appreciate you coming in. Good to see you. And somebody else come in. Who was it? I'm missing it. Good to see you guys. But yeah, if you want to, man, whenever you're ready, if you'd like to walk us through.
We'll get here in a second. But no one's really asked about the enclosure that they're in. So this enclosure is actually part of the whole system too. And this used to be my mew, which is a bird, house or whatever outside with my red-tailed hawk that I was using for falconry. So that's what this was designed for. So it's predator-proof from the outside and the inside. So it keeps all the, neighborhood cats out of here or whatever else coming in the backyard, dogs, and my 100-pound tortoise from coming through here destroying everything. He's like a rock with legs, man. He's annoying. That's what he is.
Yeah.
But trying to work. He's like a cat. He wants to be in the middle of everything. And 100-pound rock cruising through your work area is not exactly, helpful. So.
But I didn't realize that was an enclosure you built. I just thought it was like a back porch or deck or something.
Oh no, this stands in the middle of the yard. Well, in the middle of the yard, but away from the house and the yard. It's the full enclosure. I had power running behind it already all the way out to an old pond that I built a long time ago, but the liner failed in it and it didn't work out the way I wanted it to. So I just kind of abandoned it. So all I did was dug up the line behind here and brought it in to the building. So I have power already for here. If I didn't do that, I was debating if I should do that or if I should just go ahead and, because I had a short in that power line. I kept popping a fuse in the house, blowing a breaker. So I didn't know where that line was at. I was like, do I dig this thing all the way up and then the short be somewhere towards the house and then I still have to rebury a whole line and do all that? Or do I put solar up? So I was going to thinking about putting solar on top of here. A bunch of solar panels, you go Harbor Freight and buy the 100-watt solar panels, like $160 or something like that. And then you get 2 of those controllers and some batteries in here. I'm like, well, that adds up. Cost starts adding up pretty quick at that point. And I was like, yeah, then it's kind of like overcast days and there's all kind of problems with that. So I just want the power on. So and it's not sitting outside I have a lot of vines and stuff on this side, especially. This is where the sun comes in mostly. I hate this vine. I'm going to try to whack all this down. This is a trumpet vine. But the thing started off with one of my neighbor had, and it completely without my fence line comes all the way over top of this. It's taken over everything. It's evil. Don't ever plant trumpet vine. It is absolutely evil stuff. I hate it, but it's working on serving a really good purpose right now. But I want to replace it with honeysuckle. Get some native honeysuckle in here and do that, or another native vine. Just go native instead of this junk. But it's pretty. It has pulls in all kind of birds and stuff. But anyhow, let me pull this off of here.
I'm listening to you. I was just giving Convict Aquatics a mods so he can share links and go to people's channels.
Let me see what's going to look the best. Yeah, let's zoom out a little bit. I think that camera on this phone's going to be the best.
All right, so at this point, Mark's going to take us around and show us this thing, how he built it, the entirety of it. You're going to see the quality and the thought he's put into this thing, and it is a really amazing outside fish rack system, and it's for growing out fry.
In my case, yeah, but the whole thing is a breeding system, really, more so than just fry. Because I'm focusing on Madaka rice fish, is what this is going to be, a Madaka rice fish breeding area. Okay. And it could be used for other things too. And I might try some killifish and things out here, but for right now, it's just Madaka rice fish is what I had in mind. And right now, everything's still, if you look around, it's still a work zone. Man, I'm still working in here. I just built that big thing in the back, a big deal back there yesterday. So that's going to be a pond for a turtle when I'm done.
All right.
So I got a lot of stuff going on. So first of all, I'll show you how I feed everything. This is for the fry side, but if you've ever tried a pepper grinder, almost out of food, but that's just fluvial bug bites and tetra multicolor or whatever, tetracolor granule stuff in here. Yeah. And then basically you do it with one hand. You just do this on your tank every morning, go down through all of them, feed everything real quick.
That's interesting. I do the coffee grinder for my food when I get fried, but I never thought about that. And that's a nice way to do it because it's a lot more efficient.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then the coffee grinder, I use to grind up the same formula, but I add in decapsulated brine shrimp, and I add, what else was it? Oh, I was just trying to use up some of the fry food, that magical fry food or whatever that Aquarium Co-op sells.
Yeah,
I didn't like the stuff. It doesn't do what they say it does for me. Obviously, it works for everybody else. Doesn't work for me. So I just do that here to get rid of it. Supposed to sit and kind of like float through the water column and kind of hang out in the water column for a long time. Okay. The feed stuff. Mine just sits on top and then just falls straight to the bottom. I don't know. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Better people may have more flow in their tank or something, but a lot of the killifish and things I don't have a lot of flow for. So maybe it's just the way my tanks are set up.
Okay.
But these are pretty cool because they got a straw that runs all the way down to the middle of it. So I just put a small amount of ground up fish food that I use a coffee grinder for. Blend all that together. I do random ratios. Doesn't really have to be particular. It's just fry. And then you basically just squeeze. I don't know if you can see coming out, but you just squeeze the thing and it shoots out some of the food in there. So I just go through and that's how I feed everything. And there's tons of fry in here. So
on the right, you got black and yellow totes. On the left, you got the tubs. So what do you got going on there?
Yeah, so I was going to explain here. Okay, so let me move stuff out of the way. I got too much stuff going on.
I'll just shut the hell up and then let you go.
All right, so what I got going on here, these blue totes. This
John,
is where
I do got to interrupt you real quick. John says his does the same unless I breathe in it.
What does the same?
I'm assuming he's talking about that magic fry food.
Oh, okay. Unless you breathe in. Oh, okay. That's what you mean. You have to blow it down a little bit or something. I don't know. Anyhow, so what I got going on here, these blue totes are actually like food containers for cattle. I think molasses or something comes in these things. So they're already food safe, obviously, if you can put food in there for animals. So that's food safe stuff. And I think they hold about 25 gallons when they're completely full. But I don't want it completely full. There's a reason that it's not fuller than this. The reason is I was assuming that a dragonfly will land up here, shove its little butt down through here and land and lay like on top of this. It may lay an egg or two in the water if you can get to the water. So if you give yourself 3 or 4 inches, they can't get their butt down there to lay eggs. That was my reasoning for that. So in here, hopefully I don't drop my phone. This might be an interesting live stream.
That's neat.
Yeah, we'll slide it in there. Okay, these I bought offline. A friend of mine that does race fish outside too, down in Austin, it's Matt. I can't remember his last name. It's kind of a strange one, but he gave me the links for these. This is stainless steel intake filters, and it just screws on through here with the bulkhead that we bought. It just goes out to here on the outside, and then that runs down at an angle into my PVC pipe. So it's basically a PVC pipe down here, and all these run, as you can see, run right into there, and it goes all the way down, to that orange tote in the back. We'll go over that in a second. So coming in, as you see, I used these half-inch lines, but I've only got a tiny bit of water. In fact, this one doesn't really have anything in it, so I have a lot of water coming through this one. The ones that actually have things in are barely trickling. That's all I need. I don't want a lot of flow for the rice fish. Usually don't have any flow at all. So I use the bigger valves. They don't plug up as easy. If you use those little valves for like the drip system, irrigation system I've seen people use, that's the right amount of flow when they're open. That's no problem. But the problem is they plug up. But then unplugging them is a pain. But these are so big. This is half. That's half inch there, and this is 1 inch back here. The 1 inch is overkill. After this is 1 inch thin wall too, and there's no pressure on this line because it's just actually gravity coming out of the tote in the back. I'll show you in a minute. But, so I don't worry about pressure on that thing. That's overkill. You could do a half inch all the way through because you're not putting out and putting any water. I would probably do a minimum of 3/4 to be safe, but inch was I already had some of it, so I just stuck with that. But these valves are cool because I can, if they get plugged up, I just open them all the way up, close them back up again, and you clear the valve out. It's gonna be easier to clear, in my opinion. And if I want to flush that tank out, I can open that sucker up and fill that tank up and let it overflow. So if we come down here, I can't see the chat, so if there's anybody asking questions, please chime in. So this is what I got here. This tote. I don't know if I'm going to keep this tote. I don't know how long that tote is going to last outside. So that's my concern.
I think it'll get brittle.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. Plus, you can see around the edge down here. See how there's a crack around the edge? So it's expanding and contracting because it's filling full of water and getting drained. So it's actually flexing all the time too. So I don't think that's going to last. So I'm going to have to put in probably a 55-gallon plastic tub, and I'll bury it in the ground. And there's a specific reason.
Let me interrupt you for a minute. Did you ever think about maybe a 55-gallon aquarium that you could actually see the water? And I think as long as
I'd be afraid of breaking.
What's that?
I'd be afraid of it breaking in the silicone because it would be filling and draining constantly.
Right.
And that flexing on that probably might end up breaking that silicone over time, and plus the weather. And then if something does get in here, like my dog gets in here, the stupid tortoise, especially the tortoise gets in here, he could break it. And so I'm going, I don't think that'd be a great idea. Plus it's rocky, and I think that was way too high potential of getting broken.
Okay. Tim says, do you have head height problems from the pump with multiple valves?
Well, let's go over that. That's a good question, and I'll show you why that's not a problem at all. It can't be a problem in my system. So basically, the water comes in here. Pop this open, slide it around, take a look inside. All that's in here is just a regular old sump pump on this side with a flow valve on it. So it's a typical, like a basement type setup where you have water coming in, then it's kicking on and off. So that is where my pump's at. So the pump pumps it out to here, runs it back in here to my IBC tote in the back. Now it's not dropping straight in to the tank. It looks like it's dropping straight in, but on the bottom of it, I have a 90-degree angle right above the water level. And the reason for that is I want the water come out horizontal instead of going straight down. If the water's going straight down, I got potentially hot or cold water, especially hot water coming in. I don't want the hot water making it to the bottom, stirring everything up, because that's a pretty hefty pump down there. I don't know what that thing pumps, but it's for a sump. It's probably got a 25-foot head on it, which means how high you could pump water. So I'm only going 3 feet high. So it's got plenty of head pressure to fill this tank. And so I wanted to swirl on the top. So I want the hot water to kind of stay on top, and I want the cold water to settle to the bottom. Because at the bottom of this, see if I can shoot through here easy, without going all the way around. Let's see. Yeah, there. It comes right out of the bottom of that tote. So I have no pump that's actually pumping water into the individual tubs. The water is getting pumped from the sump into the big 275-pound aquarium. So that comes up through, and it's nothing but pressure from gravity. It's pushing this thing. So as long as, see, the line right here is my line that goes all the way across. So as long, of course, probably making everybody busy, but so as long as the water level back here, my tote, water level is currently right here. That line is way down there. So as
Okay.
long as that I have a difference in height, then it'll flow. And it doesn't take much pressure because I'm not pumping water. I'm barely dripping it out. So head pressure is not a problem. My biggest
Looks like
problem with the whole so the biggest
looks
problem
like
with this
it's
whole
working
setup.
well. That's neat. I would have thought you would have needed a pump because when that comes in, then you instantly go up, and it's still providing enough pressure to push it up and over.
It's kind of like same theory as like a siphon works. You know what I mean? Because as long
Right.
as my water level's here and that's way down there, this
Yeah.
much there's this much difference. There's
Yeah.
pressure in there. It's all it takes. Doesn't take much at all to push that water across as little
Nice.
as I'm running it. And actually, it blows out the end pretty hard. And at the end of that, I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to cut the end of it off to have a cap on it. I'm going to replace that with a valve, with a 1-inch open valve, ball valve. So that way I can do a water change. Just open that up and let the water blow out the back. And that'd be my water change. I did it on the other side. But so the problem with when I ran into here is this area tends to get, when it rains hard, gets a couple inches of water, sits in here. That's why I picked this area because I can't reuse this area for anything anyhow. But after an hour or so, it drains away. So if I have this too far into the ground, the water would spill into it. So I've got to keep it up off the water level has to be up. And then if something happens and my water level goes, this really can't. The way I have it set up, that the pump actually comes on when the water level is about here, and no, it goes off, shuts off of here, and it comes on at here. So I've only got about that much difference in this in the amount of room. So I have to shorten that little valve to float up a whole lot. The reason this is critical, two things. If water comes up and it floods up to this high, and my water level's here inside of there, now I have, and if the inside is lower than the outside, this is creating a buoyancy, so it can lift this up out of the water, out of the ground. So I've always got to keep the water level higher than any water level out here, unless I put a lot of weight inside to keep it, down if it floods. So that's something
Right.
you got to think about. Anything you bury in the ground, if the water level comes up to it, and it will, it rains, at least it's going to come to ground level, the water will. It'll float up what you have, unless you have it
Right.
anchored really well. This happens, it happens to graves in Louisiana and stuff. That's why they put everything above ground. So also, though, I can't have the water level coming any higher than here because this is where my drain's at. So the
Right.
water level here, when it goes all the way over the side, it's not going to drain. So all those distances have to be perfect. That was the biggest challenge in my mind, trying to make sure that I have enough room. So this is up high enough that I can get that float and everything, but I got it all worked out. So I think that's pretty much this side. And that's the
Lots,
simple side.
lots to take into consideration, and you. So I'm assuming this is basically the same thing, just a 55-gallon barrel.
Yeah, it's very similar to the other side. Essentially, it is the same thing as the other side. Just the pumping area and the sump and everything is combined into one area in a filter. It's all here. The other side really isn't filtered yet, and I'm going to put some filtration inside this tub. I need to put some lava rock and some have it set up where I have some kind of a media that this outflow can go into the filter.
Mhm.
But the
Right.
system is pretty closed up. It's closed up intentionally. There's no big gaps or anything for big particles to get into it. This is the biggest area, and it's all covered with 1/4-inch hardware cloth. So there's not a whole lot to get in here and plug everything all up. So I'm not too worried about filtering stuff because everything's going to settle out in my big tote in the back anyhow. The
Yeah.
water goes in there, eventually it'll settle at the bottom because there's hardly any flow really coming out. So it'll settle in the back of there, and probably every year or two, I'll probably have to go in there and flush that, out just to get anything that falls in there, just clear it all out, or not. If it's not a problem, I'm not going to mess with it.
Yeah.
But so I was talking about I'm not done here. Obviously, I still have a gap around here. I need to fill back in with dirt. So this is all kind of one big giant project. But this is kind of the same deal with the flooding issue. So if you see the intake is right there where the water flows back in. So I've
Hmm.
got to keep this area, high enough that I can put enough water in here that I can keep it from floating this thing out of the ground. So let's take a look inside. Oh, here, I'll go over this real quick while I'm here. If you wonder why there's a tubing here instead of PVC pipe, twofold. This way I can angle this down. If you notice, it's not level, it's down a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's down so I can get these pointed down. I don't have to do it, so I could do it in the back, but then I can have some adjustment on how these things tilt and they can actually move. Because there's a zip tie on the thing right now. Okay, so this is designed so I don't have to have everything squared up perfectly. And I can untake this off. All I do is unscrew this, pop this off, and then I can access the pump and everything down here without
Right.
real easily. So in here, if you look,
There's more black magic inside.
yeah, this is where all the magic happens. So that is nothing but a cat litter. Probably getting echoed inside of there, but that's a cat litter box. And you want to get one of those cat litter containers that has printing on the side and not a label, physical label. Those labels are a pain in the butt to get off. So try to find one that's just got a printed label. So don't worry about it. That's what I did here. Get that back on. And here's a kind of cool feature. Oh, inside of there. So you already can't see it because I'm not gonna pull it all out. But inside the cat litter container is where my pump's at, and it's a big pond pump. And like as before, you got to worry about head pressure or head height. So how high can your pump up? And you need that extra little. You need to pump quite a bit higher than that too, because you want some good flow. A lot of times they say the head height is 10 feet. Well, at 10 feet, it's zero water flow. So you have to have it. If you're going to go up 8 feet, that's okay. If you're going to go up, 9 feet, well, you're probably getting any flow at the top. So you got to think about how your head pressure, what pump you use. It's kind of up to you in your situation. But in there, and then on the pump at the bottom, and then I went and actually my wife found real cheap again, all this cool stuff. She found these. They're socks. They're called pool strainer socks, and they're for going over a pool strainer. And I just stuck lava rock in those and tied the top off, so there's no metal or anything on it, and just dropped those all around that pump and filled that cat litter container full of those. That's going to be so much filtration, way more than I could possibly need for my little system here. Then again, I might actually put some filter media on top of there, but once again, the system's so sealed up that there's not going to be any big debris getting into the system. So I'm not too worried about that. So the filter maintenance should be minimum at best. I mean, I bet I won't have to even touch that filter for a year or more. So I won't have to get in there.
One
this
question
is kind of cool.
One question I have for you is you say, that area frequently floods a couple of inches. The wood racks, the wood pond over time, will that wood not decay?
Yes, it will. Wood will decay no matter what you do. So yes, it will. This is something that I'll have to rebuild eventually. But this is on a big experiment right now. So I don't have a better material to make it out of. You make it out of metal, it's going to rust. You make it, so there's only what plastic is left, and plastic deteriorates over time too, even in the sunlight and things. So there's really not a perfect medium to use for, if you want to make a permanent out here. Best you could do is do wood and stain it or seal it in some way.
Right.
Which I haven't even sealed this one over here. I'm just going to see what happens because I don't like the way it's built. I'm going to make it a little wider anyhow. I'm just going to let it go and see what happens. If it starts deteriorating, I'll take it down and rebuild a new one. It's not that expensive and not that big a deal. But so that's the kind of way I'm handling this. These I was going to show you too. These buckets. This looks like a full 55-gallon drum, but it's not. This is only 20 inches deep and round. So this is about 3/4 of a barrel, and I cut it off here. But if you look, where you cut it off matters. So if you could tell how this goes, they always kind of scoop in on the sides on these totes. So if you come down a little bit, you cut it off. This actually will fit right inside of your barrel. So when it goes right inside your barrel like that, it almost seals it up.
Beautiful.
So that's something I learned a while ago. So that's completely on there, and it's not going to slide off because it's actually inside and it's locked in place. So nothing's going to bump it and knock it off. So
Tim wants to know how you do top offs. Do you use a garden hose or just wait till it rains? Or rainwater?
Right there. Screw it off. Put your garden hose right there.
Okay.
So and I don't even dechlorinate it because I'm not going to wait until it's so far down that I have to add a ton of water. So I'm doing small top offs all the time. And again, same. Eventually, like aquarium too, you're evaporating off all the water, not the minerals. So that's going to get harder and harder and harder and build up more and more. So I've gotten this one. I did put a valve at the end of this line. So I just open that up, do a water change, fill it back up. No big deal.
Okay.
So, if you're only putting in, 2 or 3% or even 5% of chlorinated water into your dechlorinated system, it saturates. I mean, it just gets so diluted that it doesn't really matter.
Okay.
So I don't even chlorinate anything. Just shove it in there. I've done this for years outside. Not a problem.
Mhm.
And as long as you have chlorine, you can get away with that. If you have chloramines, I don't know if I would do that, because
Okay.
if you have to do a water changes a couple every week, it takes like a month for that stuff to go away. Those are going to start building up. You know what I mean?
Got you.
So I think it'd be smart to dechlorinate if you had chloramines in your water, or chloramines, whatever it is, instead of just chlorine. Chlorine a day, it's gone, especially a system outside and it's moving. So I wouldn't worry about it. But anyhow,
Okay.
kind of the same thing with this. And of course, all the distances and stuff are all calculated out, because I don't want it flooding or floating out or water getting in. And if it does rain a lot and these start overflowing, right there's a little bit of a hole. Water will start coming out of that. That'll be my
Right.
flood off. So it won't. And that's designed specifically. I made it a little bit bigger intentionally so water can come out of there, because that's my drain coming in. I want to go above that, so that'll be a perfect spot for the water to just overflow and come out.
Right.
So that's that part. And then we got this coming
Have
in
you
all
have
the way
you have
across.
you have you ever thought about using that you know that overflow, taking advantage of that water? I don't know if you need to do this or not, or if you even have to, but putting up something to collect that overflowed water to make it run back into the system or something like that.
Well, at this point, it's going to be rainwater, and it's going to be so much of my yard's going to be completely flooded. All my containers are going to be full of water anyhow, so I have no need of more water, type of
Okay.
thing. At this point, I'd already have an excess of water, so collecting it wouldn't make any sense, and it wouldn't be that much of it. As you can
Okay.
see, when it rains, the rain's only going to hit in this area right here and go into these totes. So it's not going to be a significant amount of water. At least that's my plan.
Gotcha.
So this is kind of the same thing as the other side. It comes in the same way, and it drains out kind of the same way. It goes into that. This is 1 inch PVC at the bottom, the thin wall stuff. So I'm barely dripping water in, so that's going to handle my overflow easily. No, even with this, the whole rack is actually assembled all the way. This thing all the way done. But if the cool stuff goes on in here, like over here, they got a little more gap on this one. I can pop it open easier. So these are set up too that they're not actually attached to anything. So, which means I can just pull the tops off.
Nice.
And then, of course, this is just stuck in the hole. So I just pop that out, and this whole tub will come out. So if I need to
Right.
do maintenance, do whatever, I can pull it out. So it's not
What
locked in
are
place.
those rings in there?
All right. These are kind of cool. There
Oh,
shouldn't be any
spawning
more
mob.
eggs left on these. They're just spawning mops, yeah. These are from my Dr. Spawning Mops. So people were asking how to make these. These are simple. These are just those green scrubbies you use. Now, there are some green scrubbies that have chemicals in them for
Yeah.
cleaning. Avoid those. And this
Right.
sounds crazy, but if you're not sure, you take your tongue and you touch it to it, a new one. And if it tastes bad, it's got a cleaner in it. If it doesn't, it's good. That's the way dollar store, sometimes you don't know what you're getting. So I
Right.
got these from Dollar Tree, and these were obviously no big deal. And I even got some of these to have right on the package, not for aquarium use. So
Yeah.
obviously they know people are using these for aquariums. It's kind of crazy.
I've
I'm
seen
gonna
that
try something.
myself.
So if you, I'm gonna get too much glare. Let's see. I don't know if you can see any fry in there, but this thing is loaded with fry. I can't see if you, good enough you can see the fry or not.
I see them swimming
But,
around.
but there's a ton of fry, and they're all like this. This
Every one
system's
of them.
working so well. Yeah, yeah, they're all except for the black lamies or whatever they are. They got their black with like little gold speckles in them or silver speckles all over them. Those aren't breathing really well, and they're notorious for doing that. So it's kind of normal. People are asking on Jeff's live stream what this is, and somebody got it right. All this is a zip tie, and you could use anything. You could use a acrylic yarn hanging from here, anything hanging down. What the idea is, see how it adheres to that and runs down. So if
Yep.
this is going to stop from being a more of a violent flow into there, so there's really no splashing or anything. If you
It's a
take this out,
diffuser.
yeah, if you take it out, see how much more splashing and turbulent makes everything. These little Dr. Ice fish, especially to fry, aren't going to appreciate that. So if you do this, it knocks that all down. I mean,
Nice.
there's like no splash at all.
It's a good idea.
So I did figure this out for my indoor fry rack system.
Okay.
So that's how I come up with that idea.
What are you gonna do with all these rice fish?
Hopefully sell them.
Okay.
Hopefully some of the local stores will be able to pick them up, and I can sell them online. I want to get a website going once I really
Yeah.
get things, I get time, man. That's what the thing is. I just don't have time. Just taking all my time out building this stuff and
Mhm.
that rack out back. Didn't want to show you what's going on inside of here. Most people will have their overflow coming straight out here, and I'll put some kind of intake, a sponge filter or something right here, and pull water off the top. That's fine, but the problem is these are the rice fishing stuff, and I want to keep the flow and everything on the bottom, coming up off the bottom. These guys like to sit on top. So what I did is I just turned this at a 90-degree angle, and down here, almost all the way to the bottom, on the end of the pipe, I stuck in the intake filters. This is the regular old sponge filter type material. Just flips over there for an intake. I just stuck it down there in the bottom, so it pulls it off the bottom instead of off the top.
Okay.
It
Well,
seems
how
to
can
working well.
somebody get a hold of you if they wanted to buy some rice fish off you before a website?
Probably email me at pyleaquatics@gmail.com.
Okay,
That's
because
probably going to be
Holly
the
was
easiest.
asking, and he said he'd love to purchase some more rice fish.
It's going to be a little while before I get them, big enough. They're growing fast though. I'm pretty impressed. I didn't know how fast they grow. He's growing pretty fast. So I think, let me see. I have to look at my phone. I've got them all written down. I know I have. There's a Ulysses crossed with a Reckless, and they're kind of an orange colored one. Those are cool. I've got white rice fish, the black lame, which are the black ones with the gold, silver speckles. And then I got 5 strains right now, 5 varieties is all I've got. So
Okay.
I have to get those. I can't remember the other ones off the top of my head.
You appear to be, I know you're on YouTube, but you appear to be a little bit bigger on Facebook. Would that be a true statement?
Probably right now, yeah.
Because so I bring it up because we are live at Facebook too.
Oh, sweet. Yes, I have a Facebook group set up for my business, but I don't really use it that much yet. So it's usually just my own personal account for Mark Pyle. I forget what you'll know. If you go to my page, you scroll through, you'll know you got the right one.
Yeah.
It'll be pretty obvious.
Yeah. Well, that's an amazing setup. I think you did a good job on that. And I think there's a difference between being over engineered and while you're building it, figuring things out and having to solve problems and make it work at the same time. So I think you said it took you 4 or 5 hours to make that.
The fry rack, it took me a full day at least, because man, over a day, it was over a day to build it, because just the tubs take a couple hours, because it doesn't look like it, but you've got to cut the top out. Now you've got to cut out the 1/4-inch hardwire cloth to the right size. Then you got to drill a hole in the side of it. You've got to get all your parts together, matched up in there, and you put a little O-ring in there for your for the overflow, and then get all that kind of going together. So just those takes quite a long time, and so it's quite a long task. And then you have to build the wood, and it was, when I put this together, it was like 100 degrees outside. I was not feeling great. My stomach was killing me, so I was running to the bathroom constantly, trying to keep from dehydrating. It was terrible, but that's because I wanted to get it done. Because I had over here, I'm looking at my spawning mops, and they're full of eggs. I mean, they're loaded up with eggs. I'm going like, I got to get these things over here, because the Madaka rice fish are notorious for eating their fry, but for some reason they don't eat their eggs. So you can get a ton of eggs, but you'll never see any fry over here. That's because they're just eating their eggs, eating their fry as fast as they can hatch.
Wow. And so what all versions of rice fish you gonna be doing?
Oh man, I have no idea right now. I was looking this morning. Well, actually, I was on watching Bob's theme song, whatever his name is. He did a tour of some guy that has lots of rice fish. I think he said there's over 900 strains of them right now, or varieties. So it's like, what kind of guppies you're planning on, breeding? It could be anything, There's stuff out there that I've never even heard of. A lot of it. I mean, I'm just starting with rice fish. I probably know a couple dozen names. I mean, of those 900 that are out there.
Right. That
So
seems
yeah,
to be the case with everything, including plants. It's like I swear to God, every year they just make a new one up, and you can't keep up with them all.
Yeah, dwarf this or big that. Let me see something here. Let me see if I can find some. Hey,
Hey, Prodigal, good to see you, buddy. Appreciate you coming in and hanging out. If you missed the first part of this, rewind it and go back. Pyle here created an amazing outdoor fry rack.
let me turn this. Let's get a little bit of glare from the sun. It still is, but let's see if we can pop up and see some of the eggs on here. Oh, there's a bunch of them on the end of that.
Now, someone told me one time, even when you take an egg out of the water and it's exposed to air for even a few seconds, it's detrimental.
I'm sure that's very true for some species, and for like killifish, you got to keep them out of the water for months to get them to hatch. So it's gonna vary depending on the species of fish. The rice fish don't seem to matter. I pulled these out and left them for 30 minutes out of the water and forgot about them, and
Yeah.
everyone seems to be hatching out fine. Oh man!
Wow.
So the cool thing with the rice fish eggs is when you first pull them out of the water, they're hard to see the eggs. If you squeeze or shake the mop off and wait a minute or two, if it dries out a little bit, all of a sudden, man, you start seeing these eggs that you didn't even know were there.
I see
So,
that.
and this
So
is just one mop. There's three of them in there.
Why'd you choose to use the scrubby mop as opposed to the yarn mop?
Because everything that I've read and I experimented with shows that they like this better. It's a little bit rough. So the way the rice fish work is they lay their eggs and they actually hold on to them by their anal fin back in that area. So a big old cluster of them. Sometimes I can look in my tubs and look down and I can see the eggs sticking from off on the side. So they're just full of eggs. And they come by and they rub it off and they put it on something. So this being a little bit rougher, coarser material, the eggs seem to stick better and they seem to like it. I put regular spawning mops in with these, and I might find an egg or two in the regular yarn spawning mops, but these will be loaded up. I mean, I tried inside. I was getting some eggs, but man, nothing like this. This is just insane number of eggs. That's just one. I got 3 of them in there.
And
in that tub.
what's the probability of every one of those hatching? I mean, I think we lose.
Yeah, you're gonna lose some, but these seem to be pretty fertile. And I'm looking at these eggs. I'm seeing a couple that are probably not fertile, but I'm would be 95% of these are going to hatch, if better or more. I mean, the hatch rate seems to be really good, at least on the strains that I have. And I'm betting there's some designer strains they've made that are probably weaker, that probably don't have that survival, probably don't lay anywhere near this many of eggs. And so it's going to vary. I know some of them, the longer fin stuff, you want to keep them warmer and like indoor type, heated tank warm to get them to get that developing those long fins and things. Those aren't really good candidates for being outside from what I've been hearing. And that's it. I have no way of knowing for sure, but that's just kind of what the rumor is.
Okay. Very cool.
So if you saw this, my rack is not grown yet. So I'm going to put 2 more layers. And I need to level it up a little bit because it's leaning a little bit to one side. I think it sat there for a little bit and then it kind of settled. So I need to level that up, finish leveling it up, secure it because it's going to get top heavy. I didn't think about how narrow it is and how tall. So it makes me putting all this weight, you put 300 pounds on the top of it, and it's only it's only 12 inches wide. It's not even 12 inches. It's going to fall over if the wind hits that sucker. 70 mile an hour wind comes through, it's over. Right. So I'm going to have to put some T-posts in the ground or do some other shoring up. That's one of the next, puzzles I got to fix. But having them on the bottom of it, it's not a big deal. It's kind of weights it down.
Hey, excuse me, Matt. Hey, Mel, good to see you. Appreciate you coming in. Yeah, I guess the only thing you might be able to do to secure that is some stakes, unless you saccrete some poles beside it to connect it to.
That was one of the things, or come off at the bottom and have this going underground and put concrete in it, saccrete those to kind of secure it up. But then it becomes a trip hazard because it's right there by the entrance where I come in. If I got a leg hanging out by itself, I'm going to trip on that thing every time I walk in here. I know I will.
Yeah.
So I think some kind of poles going up it or securing it also to the back wall, to the back fencing too. Just maybe do all that and then see where I'm at and then go from there. I mean, it might work. I might even drill some holes because the way I have it set up, I should have, but I was worried about getting everything lined up right. But the legs of it should have went straight into the ground. I should have put those in the ground a couple feet, concreted those suckers in, got it all nice and level and even, let those set up, and then put my racking on that. What I should have done. I think that would work better. Yeah. But what I have on the bottom now is basically two 2x6s side by side with the legs screwed into those 2x6s. So that way, the legs themselves just didn't go straight in the ground. It's sitting on the ground. It got wet. It would just start to sink, and it would have went everywhere. So I put that in there, but I don't know. I don't really like that system. So when it rots out and I do 2.0, I will probably sink those in the ground.
Yeah, for sure.
And they're close enough together, and I would open them up a little bit too, because I wasn't thinking these little totes they're pretty thick plastic, and they're not carrying that much water. So I could have the bottom out a little farther on those things to support it. I didn't have to have it, nice evenly, sectioned off where it supports perfectly in the middle.
Right.
We don't need that with these. You could put them on the ends, and it'd been fine. But that's the kind of thing you just do it and live and learn.
Are you able to see the comments that I put on the screen?
They're pretty small. I can't really.
Well, Mel says my rice fish just aren't breeding much indoor in my planted community tanks. I'll probably just put them in a 10 and try it that way for now until next season. Do you have any advice for Mel? Because this ain't your first rodeo. This might be your first rodeo with rice fish, but it ain't your first rodeo breeding fish.
Definitely not first rodeo breeding fish. I don't know how many species I've bred, probably 50 by now. But the rice fish I found when I had them inside, I got them to breed 1 or 2 times, and they had okay numbers. I thought it was good numbers compared to some of the rice fish. I mean, some of the killifish. But compared to this, they barely bred at all. I had probably 2 dozen fry or so, But then they just didn't really want to breed right. And from what I'm understanding too, is they need that cool down period in the winter time to really kick them off during the summer. And there's something to do with the way they metabolize or whatever, some internal stuff that's going on. And the babies too, they need to grow them up big enough, but then they need to cool down over the winter to really get them looking really good. And it does something with colors and stuff too, that cool down period. So I think keeping them inside, you can have some luck with them, and they're really pretty, but I think they're more designed to be outside.
Yeah, I am not a fish breeder. I've never done it other than by accident. I was able to raise some angelfish from fry and other things, but they're easy. And from what I read from talking to you and other people and watching videos, it seems like temperature change is a pretty vital part of this. So I feel like if they're inside, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, maybe you can just unplug the heater for a night and plug it back in during the day to try to mimic that sunrise sunset thing. Do you think that would help?
That would depend on the temperature swing you're actually going for. So if you had it in the daytime, you had it set for 89 degrees, and at nighttime your house gets down to 65, and you unplugged everything, small tank to let it drop, you might see some change. You might see some benefit from that. But I don't know. I have to try it.
You're saying it would have to be an extreme change.
It would have to be a pretty big change, because here right now in Texas, today is supposed to be 95 degrees during the day, but this morning when I woke up, it was like 67 or so. So it's a big change, like a 30-degree change usually is what we see. Right. So if you can kind of mimic that big change, you'd be okay. I was worried about being too hot. So far I've seen my water temperature being up to 93 over here, but that was on a 102, 103 degree day, full sun. I didn't have any shade on these ones over here on the end, and they were way hotter than the ones over here that were shaded more. I did that intentionally for now too, going, okay, I want to see what happens to see if it makes a difference. And so that's the only difference I saw was 3 or 4 degree temperature difference.
Okay.
And it's all the same system. I don't have enough flow going through the system to equalize all the temperatures. So you're going to see temperature differences, because there's not. If I had really turned these things up and let it flow good, then you'd probably see the pretty much even temperatures in all of them. But I don't have it set like that. I don't want it like that.
Apparently, those ink birds, Mel is saying, can give you that day and night temps. They'll mimic that. I've never had one of those ink bird heater controllers.
I mean, you don't need all this too. I think it's important to know that if you're keeping fish, these rice fish, you don't need a full system like this. You could take these toads. I could turn this thing off. That's the great part. If I lose power out here, breaker trips, whatever, I get a leak somewhere and everything else all leaks out. These are not going to drain because of the way they're set up. And they could sit there for days. I mean, it's probably indefinitely. It'd be just fine. As long as the temperatures weren't extreme, I think you would be just absolutely fine. Yeah. But I wanted to kind of get it optimal. I mean, I want to try to get those temperatures, man, right in that sweet spot to get that high production that I'm getting out of here, because I'm doing it to breed them too. Trying to make some money at it. So you want to get that maximum production out of it and enjoy the whole thing. I love building stuff like this. Can't tell.
Yeah. It is fun when you start running PVC. Even when I was just running PVC for my air system and then my water system for filling, I enjoyed every minute of it. But what I have found was with me, I have birds next door, and I do have a couple of leaks in my system. Um, but I absolutely cannot use PVC cement. It's too strong for birds' respiratory system. What I have found that I can use is Gorilla Glue, and I've tried it,
Okay.
and it completely seals these PVC connections without the nasty fumes.
Very cool. So when I put mine together, my loop system, I have birds too, and I didn't use any glue, and I got away with it. And there's no leaks, nothing. I didn't use any glue at all. There's not
Right.
one piece of glue in the whole room, or the whole system. It goes through the living room and everything. I never used any glue. I just
Wow.
shoved it together and it's fine.
Yeah, if you get, especially if you get heavy wall, you seem to get a tighter fit. But I didn't want to.
I didn't use tight. Yeah, I used thin wall.
Yeah, you use thin wall.
Yep.
I have thin wall, and then I do have heavy wall as well. But I do have a few leaks. I marked them. I'm going to have to cut and redo them because it's going all around the fish room, right above my computer system here, and I don't want no water getting on
Yeah.
that. So why I
Oh,
did
you're talking
wrong.
about the water system. Oh, you're talking about a water system. Okay.
Yes.
I was talking about an air system. So that's,
Yeah, I
that's
didn't
totally
use glue on my air system either. No. Now
yeah.
that big old pump back there, I was working on it one time, and that pump's putting out enough pressure. That thing, I was doing something, moving them, and it popped it apart. Oh shit! But it's holding up. I didn't use no glue for that. Hey,
Yeah.
Whip, good
If
to
I was
see you.
using
Appreciate
water,
you coming in, buddy.
I
Yeah, I
definitely,
know.
if I was using water, I'd definitely seal it somehow.
Oh
That's
yeah,
that's a bad plan without being sealed.
it is. But like I said, for some reason, I still wound up with leaks on 3 or 4 connections. So what I'm going to do is cut that off and use Gorilla Glue so I can fix it because but Bird's right next door in this next room to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tara, I wasn't planning on this, but I started planning on it last night to go live with Mark here because he was supposed to go visit me on my Saturday stream, but he forgot because of the time zone changes. He's in Texas. I'm in North Carolina. So he's an hour behind me. So we just went ahead and did it again because I really wanted to show this off. He did a good work. He's proud of it. And I can tell you're proud of it, Mark. And you get the passion. I like bringing people up and talking through things like this because you're enjoying it. You're passionate about it. You did a good job. You're a book of knowledge with a lot of things. And it's awesome to share this with people.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. Today, I'm doing this afternoon. I'm going to pack up some snakes, go over to a friend's house, and we're going to do some photographing, some probably mostly venomous snakes that I keep in my collection, native stuff. These guys are professional photographers, so that's what I'm going to do this afternoon. I'll play with the fish in the morning and play with snakes at night.
Yeah, and for you guys that might not know, Mark's just not in the fish world. I don't know how much I'm allowed to divulge, but he's in an. Tell us a little bit about. I'm going to go live for just a little bit over an hour, so we got a few minutes left or so. But I would love for you guys to tell these guys your story and the things and the really cool things you've talked about that you've been able to be a part of, and the snakes and all these things. Very knowledgeable guy, really knows his crap. He's actually what I would consider almost a little bit of a celebrity in your area. Wouldn't that be correct?
Yeah, somewhat. Yeah. I've been keeping reptiles and snakes for about 30 years now. And that's keeping them, and that's being part of a herpetological society, doing it, seriously, chasing them all my whole life. But so I got into that, and then I'm currently doing a lot of different stuff with the snakes. One of the things I do is do animal control and different professionals. I teach them how to safely handle venomous snakes. We do a whole course, whole day course on it, and so that's something I like to do. I do that all over Texas and Oklahoma. Then I also but something's kind of fun I've been doing is I do called snake wrangling at one time. Now it's snake abatement technician. But basically, I go out to these different TV sets, and I've been on Bass Reeves. This is all for Paramount Plus. If you have Paramount Plus, you might recognize some of these titles. You got Bass Reeves, the first one I did, and then I'm did Landman first season and second season, and this year I just did Lioness. So whenever they come here to Texas, kind of my area, to the Dallas Fort Worth, pretty much Weatherford and Fort Worth areas where I've been working, I go out and they're going to set up so they're going to go out and shoot a scene at some area, and they got people come out there and they set it up beforehand. They put up a fake building or a real building, but they're going to add all kind of CGI behind it and all this other stuff. So you have people out there out in the fields or out near a wooded area and are potentially running into venomous snakes. Well, these, normal person doesn't know what to do if they see a venomous snake and they don't want them around. They don't know how to find them. So they hire somebody like me to come out there, and first thing I do, me and the medic are the first people on the scene, the last people off. So we show up. I do a scout the area every day, look around for anything I can find snake wise, and move them. And then every time they, during the day, I'm walking around looking for stuff, collecting anything I can find. And the cool thing is they don't want anything harmed. So it's not like I'm going to kill them or anything. I wouldn't anyhow, but they're not advocating that at all. There should be no wildlife injured or harmed. That's their motto. So, doing that every once in a while, I'll be getting lucky enough to have the actors and have the whole thing going on. I'll actually be shooting scenes and stuff right there in front of you while you're looking around. And whenever you have a snake bucket that says venomous snakes on it, and you have a snake hook in your hand, that's better than any clipboard and a hat you're walking around. I can go anywhere I want to go. Nobody's a thing to me. People's personal belongings, if they're in an area that looks like it's going to be snakes, I can go and I'll use my hands. I'll use a hook or something, move things out of the way. Nobody cares because they don't want any snake in there. So it's great. So I can go right up to where people are at. I've ran into some few actors. The biggest ones I ran into are Billy Bob Thornton. I got to talk to him for a little while. He actually wanted to see a copperhead that I found. So I showed him that, and he was telling me about how he got bit by a copperhead in Arkansas and stuff. So watching them act and everything's kind of cool. But for the first, half an hour, 45 minutes. After that, it's actually super boring because they're doing the same thing over and over and over again. So it's like, okay, this is fun for the first, 30 minutes, maybe an hour if you really have a long attention span.
Yeah.
So, yeah, then I've actually talked to a couple of different actors on that scene. The Lioness, they were just out, doing some prep work and some land for upcoming scenes. And I don't want to say anything about it, anything at all, because I don't want to give anything away and get myself in trouble.
Yeah. But, you've met Sam Elliott too, haven't you?
I did, yeah. I got to, I almost bumped into him, and he actually talked to me. I said, excuse me, and he said, excuse me back. So,
yeah.
We've had a conversation, but.
Well, that's neat, and it's neat. And I bet you didn't think when you started getting into this, it would ever take you to that situation. You would literally take vacation from work to go work.
Yeah, I take vacation to go do those and go do the training for the ACO officers and stuff too. Yeah, I take off work. Took 2 weeks off last year straight in a row and worked on the landman scene. So if you're a landman watcher, the very first episode where Billy Bob's in this dome thing, it's like a building that's kind of like half a giant pipe in the ground, and he's getting the crap beat out of him in there. That dome, I've drove by that many times. And then later on in I think it's the first episode, I think it's probably the last episode or second to last, where his son is going out to these landowners and he's trying to get them to give him cheap leasing or whatever for their oil wells. And he's going to people's houses. There's one of them, he's in a shed. He's in his barn thing where this guy's got kind of a workshop kind of in his old barn. That was where I watched them build. And so there's a house in the background and everything. And I was like, wait a second. That house was just like the two windows on the top and the door in the front. That's all it was. There's a Connex building behind it they hung it on. But in the show, there's a whole house there. There's a windmill in the back, and then there's a fence line. I was like, wait a second. I don't remember that fence line. I mean, not the fence line, but the whole wood line back there. I was like, I walked that thing for 2 weeks. I don't remember that. I don't remember that windmill. I was like, that windmill looks familiar. So I looked through my photos going like, nope, that was not there. There was no wood line back there. There was no windmill. And I couldn't tell by looking at TV that it wasn't real. I had to actually look at my photos. And the windmill is, I think, somewhere else on that property. And they just moved it in CGI to that site.
Neat.
But they built this building, and it was a beautiful building. The painters are so meticulous that if you walked up 2 feet from this thing, and metal was on there. You know, metal, if it's really old, gets kind of like all the algae and all the lichens on it, and it's got like texture. That was all there. I mean, it was, for all intents and purposes, an old building, and I just watched them build. But in the show, they're back from a wide angle, and they just kind of pan across the front of it. I'm like, oh, all that detail, all that awesomeness is gone.
Yeah.
But,
and even that, excuse me, even at that, there's been times, like you told us the story. It's like, I don't know, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, you got to go get some poisonous snakes. Some people in the neighborhood called you up and turned out to be a whole nest of them. And you were there to like a couple hours trying to get them all.
It wasn't quite 2 o'clock in the morning. It was in the evening. It was just that sunset. and got
Okay.
found one. And then I was on the way home. It was only like 5 minutes from the house. I was on the way back home, and like 2 minutes later, Con said, "Hey, I got another snake." So I go back over there, and yeah, there's copperheads is what it was. They're coming off under my deck. So
Yeah.
I got like 3 or 4 of them bagged up, and I called my wife. I only brought one bucket and my snake hook and tongs. That's all I brought. I didn't think anything about it. I figured I could pick up this one snake and go home. And I'll call her up. Hey, you're gonna bring me more buckets and tongs. I have no idea where this is gonna go. That could be a lot of them. Because my
Yeah.
record is just under 30 snakes in an hour in one property. It was me and a couple other people looking at this one property. We're just been there was copperheads everywhere. So I didn't know if I was gonna run into something like that. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna need more than one bucket. So I ended up catching 10 that night.
Okay. That's a lot, man. And yeah,
Oh yeah.
I don't look when it comes to snakes, I'm not afraid of a snake. If it's outside and he's doing his thing, you do your thing, man. And if I can, I rescue and save anything. I've got a massive heart for aquarium or animals. I don't care what it is. I have saved insects out of spider webs. When I was younger, I can remember the spider had started wrapping his food up in the cocoon, and I pulled it out and I cut him out and freed him.
See, but the problem is, of course, he's probably already dead anyhow because the venom was probably already in the poor thing. But
he was a life flew away.
Oh, cool.
I got him in early enough, but
Good.
when it comes to snakes, you definitely can't have the nasty ones around the kid, the children, the house. You know how I got one had worked its way in my screened-in enclosure. The door happened to be open, and he was up at the glass door, like trying to get in the house. I was like, you know how I got him out of there? I just went out, grabbed the hose, and blasted him and guided him out the goddamn door. Mark, you would have went over and grabbed him, but I just.
Hey man, if you know what it is, hey, you got out safely. That's what matters. A broom works well too.
The what?
A broom works well too.
A broom, yeah. So, but right away, my first instinct wasn't to let's get the shovel and chop his damn head off. He's just living life like they're just living life like we are.
Yeah.
And he got lost. He didn't mean to get there. He don't want nothing to do with us. So just here you go, buddy. Go that way.
There's a cool song that Jesse Wells, he's kind of one of those semi-famous on YouTube. He's tons of videos. He puts out all kind of music stuff. One of his songs is called Bugs. And one of the lines in there is, I like bugs because they're alive too.
Right.
I'm like, oh, yeah, that's simply put, they're alive. Leave them alone.
Right. They're just squirrel trying to get a nut too. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, that was really cool, guys. And if you missed the first part of this live stream, you got to go back and watch and see how he put this together. It was a really amazing system, and he did a good job. You can tell he's got thought and passion. Even just sitting here talking about it, you really enjoy what you do. And we're glad to have you in the hobby and coming up here with me. I certainly appreciate it and chatting with you. You didn't have to do it. You wanted to, so.
Oh, yeah, I'd love to. No, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
And Tom, if you're watching, I might be seeing you later. Things are looking good. But
you
don't know what I mean.
I can't believe I didn't see him pop in and say hello, so I'm surprised about that.
He might be busy,
Yeah.
You got the farm to run.
Yeah, basically got a farm. And that's what you basically have made there is a fish farm there.
Exactly. The whole house is a fish farm. Out here's a fish farm. I'm a fish farmer.
Yep.
So I've got like 4 jobs now.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. You're always busy and running. I mean, you're always you'll be out somewhere for 3 weeks to a month, come home for maybe a day, say hi to the wife, and boom, you're back off doing something else.
Well, no, I don't usually leave the area, but it seems like that. I might go for a weekend or a day or two here or there to go do, training somewhere, but I'm not usually not gone totally that long. It just seems like it. I hardly ever seems like I come home, I feed fish, and then get up next morning, go feed fish, go back to work, come home, feed fish.
So you always stay within Texas. I thought you were going to different states at times.
I go to Oklahoma. Texas and Oklahoma are the two states that I typically go do training in.
Well, I don't know why you want to go there. Ain't no love in Oklahoma.
Man, the animal control, I wish they did it here in Texas because the ACO officers have an academy, and they do a 2-week academy for the new control officers. So I'm a 1 day of that 2-week course, and everyone tells me absolutely hands down it's the favorite thing they do. It's the best thing. Even if people are scared of snakes, when they're done with it, still think the training was absolutely the best, funnest, the coolest thing they've done the whole 2 weeks. They get to play pepper spray dogs. They get to they get to do all this other cool training and wrestle with each other and all this crazy stuff. They get You know, we're the number one attraction.
That's another thing you do. You'll go to class and teach classes and educate people on different things as well. Ain't that right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's kind of what I love to do is education in general.
Mhm.
So I've got the man. I've talked to different groups. I've trained everything from all Texas Parks and Wildlife. Their rangers at parks. Uh, the Texas Master Naturalists thought their programs. It's just basically anybody that man. I'm getting kind of too busy. I don't do too much anymore. But man, I've done a ton of different different events and we do something called the Snakes of Tarrant County if you live in North Texas. So on Memorial Day weekend, we got to the Forward Nature Center. Me and a bunch of other people. It's a big team effort. We try to get every single species of snake that lives in North Texas at this one building at the Forward Nature Center for that Memorial Day weekend. And
Mhm.
that's one of my biggest events of the year. We get a lot of people come through. I just did San Marcos last weekend. They had a snake fest down there, and they wanted me to bring some venomous snakes. So I
Mhm.
set up 4 tables. I think I did a little quick video of that on my YouTube channel just to show what my setup was. And they had 1,600 people come through that place and from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. So that was packed. That was a
Yeah.
busy day.
Right. Yep. And so you collect the snakes, you take them with you, and you set them up. And I'm assuming the purpose is to get all the different species, is so you can teach. This is this. This is this. This is watch out for things like that.
Oh yeah, even earlier this year, I went clear out to West Texas, out to Fort Davis area. Found an amazing little cabin with access to 9,000 acres on the side of this mountain. It was incredible. Went out there just looking for a couple species of snake for the San Marcos event. But normally of course, I keep those too. I kept them here, and I keep a nice collection of animals that I can use for training, for different types of training, whatever I'm doing. If it's hands-on training or if it's just a display like that was. So training is definitely my passion of doing things. I've
Yeah.
even spoke at the national convention for the AKA. Was that joint the AKA, the Cichlid Society, Beta International Beta Congress? There was someone else, like Cichlid group, whatever. There was like 4 or 5 different groups there. So I actually got to talk about the fry grow out system I made for the killifish for inside.
Right.
Talk about that, and that worked out. That came out really nice.
And I told you about the Tropical Fish Company. I don't know if Chris left yet, but here's one of the partners with Jody P. And I told them to get a hold of
Okay.
you because they're looking at wanting to get some killifish, if I'm not mistaken. And I told them about. I mean, you've consistently won awards for your killifish breeding.
Oh yeah, won a lot of awards. At the AKA, I was honored to get the Killifish Exhibitor of the Year award, which is
Mhm.
like their top award for people exhibiting fish all year long. They have different events and you put your fish in. They've judged, and then like today, I think the Keystone Clash is going on. If I remember right, it's this weekend. Where's that next weekend? Whenever weekend, I think it was this weekend. But yeah, no, it was next weekend. It's next weekend. I could have sent fish up there, but I just didn't have time to get everything together. My stock on fry and stuff's really low right now, but kind of doing so many other things that feeding the way I need to feed, pulling eggs, and taking care of all the fry and everything just wasn't going to happen if I'm not around. If I'm out of town for 2 days in a row, then it's kind of like it's hard to feed these fry enough to get them to grow without dying. So I just don't pull eggs whenever I'm busy like this. But I'm thinking next weekend I'm out of town for a vacation with my wife. I think after that, well, we have October, first Saturday in October, we have the DFW Aquarium Association meeting. Not meeting, but that's their expo, and that'll be in Louisville. And so I'll be doing that and be selling out there. And then after that, I don't have very much on my schedule. So I think I'm really going to start kicking up breeding of the killifish, try to get them ready for spring. Because Spring Expo is like the number one sales every year. It's always best. The fall one's okay. Summer one kind of sucks, but the spring one's the way to go. So I'm gonna try to get the killifish up and running. Have a ton of different rice fish available too.
Mhm.
Plus, I've got other fish I'm breeding like plecos and super red plecos and some other things that I've got available.
The reason why I bring it up is because Jody P and Christopher Junkin have started that store. They're not messing around about it. They've got tanks drilled, they got racks built, they're working hard every day. And I remember them talking in an interview that they want to be having nothing but high quality bred fish. And I feel like with your knowledge and what you know, I'd love to get you guys hooked up because they're going to start needing fish. They're talking about going live October, November. We'll just say on the latter end of that, just because you know how things go when you're setting up, especially a large thing like that. You might want to get hooked up with them, and you might be able to help them supply them with some good fish.
Yeah.
And you all can make some money together.
Yeah, Jody P's actually bought some. It was Afia Simeon's Rickenbacker eye. She bought from me during an auction with Jeff's auctions. So yeah, so I've already sold something to her at least. Hopefully she enjoyed those and they did well for her. I didn't hear back, but yeah, I would love to get with those guys and really kick up. Once I get this takes up a lot of time too. So it's just I said, well, you know what? I'm gonna stop breeding for a while. Let me get all this stuff caught up. Let me get myself in position that whenever I do breed, I could do it right and have a ton of success and get a lot of stuff going out. So that's my idea, just to kind of, fish are still young too, let them grow up. Some of the Achilles grow up a little bit, start breeding. So this winter, and usually during the winter time, they breed better for me. I think it's temperatures in the house, because during the daytime, it gets over 100 degrees up. My temperatures, my air conditioner doesn't keep up quite well, so it starts rising a little bit. I think that disturbs a little bit of their breeding. I mean, I've had it. It's weird, man. I've been breeding, dumping eggs. Everything's going great. And all of a sudden, one day, no eggs anywhere through the whole house. Not even just Achilles, nothing. I'm going like, even my pseudomcgills stopped breeding. The rice fish I had, of course, they just stopped anyhow. But nothing was breeding. And what the heck, for like weeks, nothing would do a drop an egg. I'm going like, might get an egg or two, one or two here and there in the tank. But I don't put one or two eggs. It's not worth even bothering with. So it's just weird. Then all of a sudden, they'll start breeding them back again. Just out of the blue, you know. And I'm looking at going, the house didn't change temperatures. There was no major storm systems or anything. What the heck? You know? Same exact food, the same exact, I'm feeding them like same exact consistency. I mean, nothing's changed that I can see, but they felt the change, obviously. Or is this coincidence? I mean, it could be just pure coincidence. Everybody was just like, okay, we're done breeding for a while. Took a break.
Right. Jody P, thank you for sharing his link, Whip. Jody P says, Mark, I think we have each other's email. Unfortunately, someone who was feeding my fish while I was out of town left the lid slightly open, and my Achilles took their final jump.
Oh, no. Well, get with me. Well, I better figure something out. So I still have some of those and some nice size fish, too, on those. I'll better figure something out. That sucks, man.
Yeah.
But, I've had extremely good luck. I probably shouldn't even say anything. I'm going to jinx myself, but I'm notorious for leaving lids off a tank. And I've only had one or two fish ever jump out. I mean, the opportunities, I shouldn't have a single killie fish in the house if they all jump. But I think there's just some that just are jumpers, and no matter what. One of the ones are the South American, the Rivulis group of fish. Most of those are jumpers. And I was breeding some of those guys, and they were about an inch long at the time. They were about halfway grown, or maybe a little less than halfway. But they would, as soon as I walk in a room and go to open that tank up, they would jump, and I'll leave the water down about this far, so that whenever I opened the top to feed them, I had a little bit of a gap before they shot straight out of the tank. But they would all jump up and it'd stick to the side of the tank above the water lines. They'd be stuck there. So I'd feed them, close it back up, and then wait. And it might take 10, 15 minutes. But then they finally fall back in. They're fine.
Wow.
I'm like, wow, okay. So that's how I'd feed them. I'd walk over, tap the tank, scare them all, shoot them all to the top, so they went up and then feed them, so they couldn't jump out. They're already stuck to the glass. So some of those are just athletes. And I know some people were trying to keep the water level low to keep them jumping. But I mean, even a 20-gallon tall, halfway full, a lot of those can clear that without a problem. I think, oh, well, I'll just leave it. No, you got to have a lid. And even if you have like hang on the back filter with the water coming in, and you have really close, but there's water going in. So they'll go right up that water and get out of your tank. Neat. So you really can't have an overhang on the back tank filter. Use sponge filters, or canisters are fine, as long as you can get the holes, tight around the pipes and everything. You can do that.
Like a pre-filter. But when you use a pre-filter on the end of that, it's important to drill about 1/8-inch holes all around, so you're sucking in through the entire surface area of that. But you could do that, or I've even tried the trick of using filter floss, but I believe the FX series canister filters are too strong, and eventually it'll even do it with some of these pre-filters. If you wait too long to clean it, it'll suck it down to dang nothing. So So I have converted from the top fin pre-filters over to the aquarium co-op ones, and they don't stop as much as the top fins because it's more coarse, but it's nice not having to clean them out every week. Whip, thank you so much for gifting 5 memberships. I certainly appreciate you, buddy. I can't thank you enough for
Sweet.
that.
Good deal.
This is one of the main incomes when people do this for me, and one of the biggest contributors of my channel when they come in here and they're doing this. And these guys do it, have done it several times for me, and you guys are great. I can't thank you enough. Getting
Very
channel
cool.
members. We need to get more channel members in on over here.
Oh yeah, here and an aquatic network. I mean, news network.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
Ron, appreciate you coming in, buddy. And who got it? So Ron got it. Prodigal.
You guys are doing some fun stuff over there at the Aquatic News Network. I'm trying
Yeah,
to
well,
get involved more when I get a chance, man. You guys are doing some fun, funny stuff and some fun, good educational stuff too.
yeah,
That's
I
awesome.
really enjoy it. I love it. And Tommy's amazing. Tommy, the scripts he sends me, like I swear to God, this guy, he missed his calling. He should have been in the performing arts. The scripts that he comes up with and sends to me that I do, the wittiness, the I mean, I don't know if he's ever sent you a script, but the way he puts these things together are amazing. I don't.
Very cool.
uh,
I love that. I showed my wife the video you made of you talking about wanting to get more fish, and your wife slaps you out of the chair.
yeah,
It's hilarious. Showed my wife that, she just was laughing her butt off.
that's my favorite part, and that's what it's all about. I like to make people laugh. I've always been a class clown, and I'm gonna get my wife involved. I got a couple things more lined up for that little bit I'm doing.
Yeah, I had to explain to her the FU part what it meant. And she's like, "What?" And I was like, explain to her the whole thing.
Yeah, yeah,
the ongoing thing.
yeah. If you,
I told her about
like,
the buckets too. You know, which buckets you had to have, and which ones don't work. And
right. It's fun. I enjoy it. And that's what I like to do. Have fun, make people laugh, put a smile on people's face. And in a world, I think we're lacking of it. We need it more. Everything's got serious and crazy. And I just like to try to if I can bring my 2 favorite things about starting a YouTube channel was, one, when I get comments where I've truly helped somebody do something, and when I've made people laugh.
you definitely made her laugh.
Good. Well, this has been great. I'd love to continue on, but I do got some more drywall and mudding to do, and I'm getting hungry. I'm getting a little hungry here. So,
you doing that in your house or doing it in the fish room? What are you drywall?
In the house, we're getting new bathrooms put in. Unfortunately, when we was putting the one bathroom in prior to us, there must have been a leak and they didn't fix it right, so black mold on the inside of the wall. So we had to replace all those walls, and we got them back together. And now I'm just mudding and sanding and getting ready, but that's all been fixed. But it's funny, you open a can of worms sometimes when you start stuff, but in this case it was good. You don't want to have black mold, so we got that out of here and redid all new drywall.
Sweet.
Tiled bathrooms. The bathrooms look great. But thanks again for coming up. This has been fun. I really enjoyed this live stream. You're welcome to come up anytime, by the way.
Okay, good deal.
And anytime you want to come up, we don't always have to talk about fish. I'd love to talk about all your passions.
Oh man, there's a bunch of them. I do electronic stuff too, and there's like falconry, and there's just the snakes and wildlife stuff.
You might be able to help me. Like when I'm trying to do recordings on Filmora, for some reason lately the camera stops and freezes, but it never misses the recording. I just keep talking and it records fine, but my camera's freezing, and I've reset and I've tried different things. I checked the drivers are up to date. It's like, and this ain't, this is a decent camera and a decent computer. It's like, and God forbid try to record in 4K.
Yeah. You might have a RAM issue. How much RAM do you have?
I can't remember. I did upgrade the cards to different cards, but I might need bigger ones. I got the old one here.
Yeah, you probably need, doing something like that, 16 or 32 gig.
Yeah, you're
so it sounds
like a jack of all trades. Aren't you? You're like a jack of all trades.
I try to be.
So I don't know what the hell this is.
I can't see. There's no way to see.
Kingston Fury Beast 16 gigabyte stick.
There you go.
So that's what I upgraded to. The
so you had 16 gig in there?
Yeah, I took the original card out and put a 16 gigabyte in.
Yeah,
It-
it sounds to me like it's filling up, but you would have to pull up when you're doing that. You pull up your resources, and you can kind of see how much memory, how much RAM is being used by the computer. If it's popping out, then
and we've done that, and it's like we can't explain because my stepson's pretty good with this stuff, and he sat here, he's like, I don't understand why it's doing this. But yeah, we took the original cards out and put
That's my guess.
gigs in there. So I don't know.
But I don't know.
Do.
I don't know.
It wasn't a cheap computer. I got the big curved monitor.
Nice.
Let me see. This is a Ryzen computer. Ryzen 5000 series Victus.
Yeah, I'd have to look that up. No idea.
Okay. Oh, well, at that, we'll let you go. I certainly appreciate you coming up. Thanks for everybody coming in and hanging out. If you missed the beginning of this stream, you got to go back through and check out how he built this thing. It's nice to do it with him live. And it was really cool. And thank you for sharing with us and being here with me.
All right, man. Have a good day.
Tommy coming in late. He like a scab shows up after the work's done.
Hey, Tommy, I might be seeing you later. Things looking good, man. I'm working on it right now. Looks like everything's going to work. I know what I'm talking about.
I think I know what you're talking about.
I can hear my tortoise header banging around.
All right, buddy. I'll talk to you later, my friend.
All right. Talk later. Bye.
See you. Bye. See you guys. Appreciate you. I hope you really enjoyed what he did there. I did a good job. So we'll see you next Saturday. Be there or be square. Thank you again, Whip. You the man. And thank you all for being here. Tim, thank you. Appreciate all you guys' support. Have a good Sunday.